member. At this time, I recognize the Minister for Health and Social Development and Territorial Member, the Honorable Carvin Malone.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for affording me the opportunity to say these words. Member who spoke already is telling me a few words. But I think it is fitting that this Honorable House convened for the sole purpose of paying tribute to our late Honorable Ralph T O'Neal, OBE and Member Emeritus. Allow me to paraphrase when I state that the Virgin Islanders invited Virgin Islanders, friends, countrymen, to lend me your ears, for we have gathered to pay tribute to Honorable Ralph T O'Neal, yes, to give him true honor. Mr. Speaker, it is too oft that it is only the evil that men do, or even that they're rumored to have done, that is remembered. Indeed, the good is oft interred in their bones. But this will not be of Honorable O'Neal. We will tell his story, or his story, so that history will not be distorted or distorted. So here I am, and you have heard of the glowing tributes. Some are recant of the years that others have served with him, and others of the personal, because some may not have and would not have served, but all glowing in its form. So it will take different forms, because I would like to, as many have done, say thank you to, most call her Reverend Idris O'Neal. I called her mom also, because I'm privileged to have someone as her, who I considered as a mother, and I count Abby as a sister, and Esther, and all the sisters and brothers. But I know Esther and Abby best, and I know Sister Idris very well. She was my RE teacher back in high school, so I knew her before I knew her. Yes, she taught me the book of Acts. So you remember that back in, what was that, 71, 72? Yeah, somewhere back there. But we are here to pay tribute, and fittingly so. And I know that we look at a person who we can describe as always humble in victory and gracious in defeat, because he have spanned the entire gamut of it. There are going to be a lot of record keeping and books written, so I don't have to go into the details of those, although we are quite aware that although you may write 100 books, there are people who will never read them. So unless you say something and place it in history, that people will never hear it and they would not read it. And I must take time, I hope it is fitting so to do, but his very good friend, Mr. Hunt, is here, and I know that he shared a special relationship with Honorable O'Neal, and he would not have missed this for anything. But what do? I often say also that we are products of where we were at the time, we were there. If you pass through the Great Depression, it is told, then you have most of your money still hidden under the bed because you don't want it lost in banks. And if you pass through some experiences, and whether it's with hurricanes or other things, you have a special feeling about these. So when you spend over 64 years in public life, starting as a teacher from the age of 18 in 1951, you then understand that you have a special feeling for where the Virgin Islands was back then. But it started before, because the fight for the return of our Constitution took place not in 49, but it started from before, from 47 and until when it was returned in 1950. So it was a young man at the time, and then at age 18 went into the teaching profession. In 1956, went into the public service, and from 75 through 2015 as an elected member. Now, if you go towards that particular period, in 51, from 50, you have all of the earth-moving days that you have, because that is the time the Constitution was regained. That's the time that the alien landholding license was, came into play. That's the time we had the U.S. currency. That is the time we built the first airstrip. That is the time that we had a number of moving activities that has shaped us. Some of the laws that we are amending today were laws that were suited right there in those times. Once you entered into politics in 1975, because remember, in 1971, he ran and was not successful at that time. But the Honorable Ralph T O'Neal was also a very, very close friend of my family. My father recanted the times that they spent together, and he recanted having his admiration for how well he served the people of the 9th District, whether or not he was taking back goods to Virgin Gorda or making sure that that they were taken care of in many ways. Bring down their, whether it was their letter, bring down their particular, do the shopping, and then carrying up the goods for them. So they recant on the terraces, both of their homes, many stories, and I was the beneficiary of all of those stories on a number of times. So it is fitting that when we look in terms of this concept of being humble in victory and gracious in defeat, because in the time that Honorable O'Neal served in the House, he had a vast area of experience, because he had 8 years that he served as Chief Minister from 1995 to 2003. And 4 years he served as Premier, in fact, the first Premier of the Virgin Islands from 2007 to 2011. But he also served 8 years as opposition leader. A number of other years in the opposition, but as opposition leader for 8 years, from 2003 to 2007 and from 2011 to 2015. He was a Virgin Islands Party member for 33 years, 86 to 2019, and chairman or chairperson of the Virgin Islands Party from 95 to 2014. So when you look at all of that body of interaction and experience, and having to go through one stage or the other, Honorable Fraser spoke of the many initiatives that he championed So we don't have to go through those again because they're there, they're on record, and I'm sure they will be recorded for all to see. But I worked very, very close with him from 1999, because that is when I became the president of the Virgin Islands Party. And one of the first acts that we had, first of all, we had a celebration of the, I think it was the 29th anniversary of the party that we were celebrating, and we brought Sir James up from St. Vincent. But one of the first things we did in 2000 also was when he championed having the H.L. Stout Day, H.L. Stout birthday, as a holiday, first Monday in March. Yes, it was Mr. O'Neal that moved this, and he was the one that made sure that it happened. So not only did he start by giving names to institutions such as the Robinson O'Neal, but he also started in terms of giving recognition. It was Honorable O'Neal that made sure that the name of Noe Lloyd and all of the activities that surrounded this great person was also remembered. I'm not sure who was responsible for the Sir Oliver George's Plaza, under whose administration. No, sorry, I know it was recent, but in terms of which one had done that. What about the racetrack? Honorable Fraser, you remember, is Mr. O'Neal who basically made sure that the Ellis Thomas Downs basically would always be remembered for this. So, you know, folks, this is why we have to write the history, because at the end of the day, people coming into positions always talk about the first time ever, never done before. When at the end of the day, if they take one opportunity to read the history of what was done, they would find that it's a continuation of what it was. So, but he will basically be the first one to have told you, basically, don't go through all of this fuss while you're doing here today, because he will see it as something that, you know, I was just doing my job. I was doing what I had to do. You don't have to take a special day off to do this or special day to do that, because he never looked or never sought, never dictated that that type of recognition be given to him. In fact, we still have to do it because Honorable Fraser again spoke of the T.B. Letcham and him broken ground. And I always told him that we have to place the plaque on there. This T.B. Letcham Airport, or the terminal, the upgrade that it had. This was a Ralph O'Neal initiative. The plaque has not placed as yet. We have to place it. Again, we're going through, I think it's 50 or 60 years since the first test trip, and we have to give recognition to it. We could have easily have renamed the London House the Ralph Tilford O'Neal London House, because it was his initiative. He took a lot of, well, in our terms, how would we say it, Honorable Member for the second? He took a lot of blows for it. Okay, he took a lot of blows for it. So it could have easily been renamed also in his honor. So here we have it. Dual carriageway, the particular cruise spare, the actual original one, the London House, all of these, the Downs, all of these. And I would best remember that most of my golden gems that I know in the North Sound and Virgin Gorda and Anegada, I know because of him. When I go there, he'll make sure that, as Honorable Vincent had said, that we went there, and Sister Lucy, I couldn't go to North Sound unless he took me to Sister Lucy, and a number of the other elders within the community. He made sure that when we went to Anegada, there was a set of people that I had to go with him with. He was quite keen on that. And I think that he made special visitations to the Adina Donovan home to make sure that they were comfortable and comforted in all of the undergoings that they had to. So it was nothing, service was not new to him. Others recant that original member or founding member of the Rotary Clubs and of the Red Cross and a number of other societies and memorable social events, activities that he participated in. So, over the next few days, there'll be a lot more to be said. During the service, there's a lot more will be said. But I'm here to say that I am the road that I walk today, and the road that most of us will walk today will be a direct result of the actions, activities, decisions, the initiatives taken by persons as esteemed, as strong, as willing, as Honorable Ralph T O'Neal. His whole story will have to be a collaborative effort because Dr. Charles Whitley would have part of that history. Mr. Lewis Hunt will have part of that history. Reverend Idris O'Neal will have part of that history. Esther and his first 3 kids will have part of that history. Abby will have her part. And the entire collaboration is what will have to make up his story, because he was just that dynamic a person. So no one person would be able to capture it all. But he never lost the common touch, because at the end of the day, his association, if he go to Virgin Gorda, he's not going to drive around with anyone else except Rasta in there. It's going to be Rasta, it's going to take him around. He's not going to go with anyone else. Don't care who you said. Okay? So he associates fully with the common man. And while dining with President Carter, it was, while dining with Queen Elizabeth, while dining with the royal family. So those are not just words in terms of having the common touch while associating with royalty. He lived it, and it was not fake. Sometimes when the boys on the block, they call it the Fonseca Corner, would come and they would have direct entrance to his house. Folks will wonder, well, what is this all about? But he will rather turn you back than to turn them back. He will have them and have them with open doors. It was the kind of person that he was. So the class of 1999 would remember him fondly, because it was the same class that the current premier is in. And I happen to have had the privilege of serving working with 4 Virgin Islands Party chairpersons, from Honorable H. Lively Stout to Honorable O'Neal to Honorable Fraser to Honorable Foy. So at the end of the day, that class of 1999 would have served with him during a period of formidable years. And Honorable Fraser, again, recanted a number of the history and the times or the activities during that period. But I just stopped by for a short word to say that I cherish the time that I've engaged, whether it was my first meeting, as I said before, was through my dad, but through my days working with him very closely, working with him as a father figure to me, as a friend, and we never got to serve in the same house, but at the end of the day, we were in the same house because, we actually collaborated on many occasions during my time of presidency when he served. So it is quite fitting that I stand and say that it is quite fitting for this sitting, and I cherish the times and I value the legacy of our own Honorable Ralph T O'Neal. Thank you.